Takopi's Original Sin is one of, if not the most hyped up anime to come out in the year 2025, with almost every part of the anime community calling it a masterpiece and saying it's anime of the year. And usually I don't pay the anime community any mind when they give a series this much praise, because in most cases they say everything is good. But after hearing the premise of Takopi's Original Sin, it caught my interest. I'm a huge fan of grounded stories that translate well to real life, mainly because of how relatable the subjects are and how easily the lessons can be applied to real life. And after watching Takopi's Original Sin, I can confirm the series is exactly that. Takopi's Original Sin tackles a lot of themes that I would say the majority of people can relate to. Bullying, manipulation, neglection, child abuse. The subject matter is there for those who are interested in these type of topics being fleshed out, but the execution of these topics leave a lot to be desired. Takopi's Original Sin is a perfect example of a story having strong messaging but poor execution, and a lot of the poor execution stems from how goofy, unrealistic, and overdramatic the setting is. The first thing that caught my attention when watching this show was the convenient absence of adults when bullying was taking place in public areas. How is it that whenever Shizuka gets bullied, no adults are around to address the issue, but when Marina gets bit by a dog, all of a sudden everybody and their grandma is there to see the assault? There weren't even people around before the dog bit her. The motherfuckers just magically showed up out of nowhere. Why the hell was Marina even out that late? With Shizuka, I can understand because she basically have no parents that care for her. But Marina, she has parents that care for her, to the point they were battling for custody during their divorce. Do her parents not care anymore? Like, if so, they did a horrible job relaying that message. And how the hell were there not any adults or kids around when Marina beat and stabbed Shizuka in the face outside of a school? How the fuck did none of the teachers or janitors see that shit that was written on Shizuka's desk? It literally says die. Why are the teachers so nonchalant about bullying and Shizuka's living conditions? Any adult with common sense would immediately get the police involved. Shit, I can remember a time in my school where a teacher called the kids' parents to come pick them up just because they smelled really bad. And that was way before 2016, which is where the earlier parts of this story takes place. How were there not any police patrolling the restricted area where Marina died? How the hell did Shizuka get to Tokyo with no parental guidance? There are so many moments where adults are conveniently nonchalant or not around for the sake of misery porn or the plot progressing, and it's really annoying because these are moments where an adult should be aware and present. Like, I understand the author is trying to convey a message with these scenes, but the message doesn't hit the same when you have to create unrealistic or inconsistent circumstances to get your point across. You can still convey a strong message about bullying with adults being more proactive in the story. Literally every adult in this story is only there to cause or add to the kid's trauma, and I get it, that's the point of the story, but when there aren't even one or two adults who can have a positive impact to balance out the caring and non-caring ones, it makes the story setting feel forced, like everything is happening for the sake of creating a traumatic moment. And just to clarify, I'm specifically referring to the adults in this story. I'm not saying no one tries to help the kids, because there are definitely moments where some characters step in to help. What I'm pointing out is the unrealistic structure of the story, where adults who should be more involved and responsible are noticeably absent and passive. The lack of adult intervention feels inconsistent with how things will likely unfold in real life, which leads me to the next issue I have with the story: the exaggeration of the traumatic sequences. I didn't have an issue with Marina bullying Shizuka because bullying exists. Actually, the way the story handled the subject of bullying as far as what causes it and how it can affect someone mentally was really good for the most part. But was Marina stabbing Shizuka in the face with a mechanical pencil really necessary? What 9-year-old is out here trying to stab another 9-year-old because their father is sleeping with their mother? Like, get the fuck out of here, dog. That sounds like some Housewives of Atlanta bullshit. Same with Marina's mom giving Marina the Raging Demon special. It felt like they added that shit in there just to make Marina's story more tragic, as if the divorce alone wasn't enough to give a 9-year-old trauma. And the handling of her mom made no sense. The mom is supposedly beating her because she thinks Marina's gonna betray her. It's one of those things the story never really goes into depth with or even gives you a definitive answer to. The mom just keeps saying, "I thought you were on my side," without any context given as to what led her to feel this way. Did Marina ever say she wanted to stay with her dad when the divorce was finalized? Did Marina and her mom have an agreement that she was going to stay with her post-divorce and Marina still chose to go live with her father? None of this shit is ever stated or explained. One might just assume, oh, well, she's just taking her frustrations from the divorce out on her daughter, but that's never stated in the story either. The bitch just keeps saying, "I thought you were on my side." And I know in the other timeline she was on medication, but what type of medication? For what exactly? Like, there's literally a scene where Marina's date couldn't come to dinner and the mom came from being a polite housewife to fucking Mike Tyson in 5 seconds. So is the meds calming the mom down, or is she fucking crazy regardless if she takes the meds? None of this shit is explained or delved into. There's another goofy moment in the show where one of the kids' parents is treating him like shit and blueballing him with pancakes, all because he can't get a 100 on his test. Keep in mind, this kid Naki is getting 93s and 95s on his test. You're telling me the decision to either mistreat your kid or treat him well all depends on whether he can score an extra 5 to 7 points on the test? Get the fuck out of here with this over-exaggerated bullshit. Like, I understand that different households can be very strict about grades, but does that take away the fact that it can be exaggerated at times? I think everybody understands that perfection is an unrealistic standard. So why is treating your kid like shit because he can't get an extra 5 to 7 points on the test acceptable? Am I wrong for thinking that's an exaggeration? Even on realistic terms, there's a contradiction in that belief if you subscribe to the fact that everyone can be perfect. So at the bare minimum, neglecting your child because they get A's instead of A pluses can be seen as an exaggeration. And I understand that Naki's older brother Junior tells him exactly what I'm saying right now, but keep in mind, I'm not criticizing the message. I'm criticizing the execution and how exaggerated the circumstances can be. Aside from the handling of Naki's goofy ass mom, I do think his story was handled really well. His story showed how hard it is to live up to expectations, how trauma and the desire to be accepted can affect future judgment, how being manipulated by the people you love can lead to terrible decisions, and how breaking the tension with a family member can create a powerful and trusting bond. The same with Takopi. His story was handled well for the most part. His story was basically about understanding the complexity of human nature, how everyone possesses both good and bad within them, and how what you see as a solution can become the source of someone else's corruption. It was really cool to see Takopi slowly turning Shizuka into a monster with the inventions he used to make her happy, and him bearing the burden of his mistakes. My only issue with Takopi's story was that convenient ass plot twist. The plot twist was foreshadowed when Takopi questioned why he couldn't go back to Planet Happy, but it still felt more like a convenient solution to an unsolvable problem rather than a development that flowed organically with the story. The reveal only happened after Takopi and Shizuka hit a dead end in Tokyo, which further supports my impression. The execution was so bad that I wouldn't blame anyone if they felt like the plot twist was a retcon. And since I'm shitting on the plot twist, I might as well shit on the ending that stems from it. The ending was really fucking bad. Takopi literally solved Shizuka and Marina's problems by using the power of magic instead of having them learn and build from their problems like Takopi and Naki. And even when Takopi fixed their issues with the power of magic, it still left a huge plot hole in Shizuka and Marina's friendship because the story completely ignores why Marina was upset with Shizuka in the first place and makes them the bestest friends in the world all because they seen a picture of Takopi. Like, what the fuck? How does seeing a picture of Takopi change the core reason why you're upset with Shizuka? How the fuck is seeing a picture of Takopi enough to squash the beef between Shizuka and Marina when Marina beat the shit out of Shizuka for trying to squash the beef? And I know that was Takopi cloning Shizuka, but my point still stands because Marina thought it was Shizuka. All in all, it's like what I stated earlier. Takopi's Original Sin is a show with a lot of good messages. It's just that the execution is so bad that it takes away the impact of the messages they're trying to send. There's also other issues with the story, specifically with Takopi's happy tools and how ridiculously convenient they are. There's a moment where after Takopi sees Shizuka's dead body, he says there isn't a happy tool that can bring back the dead, only for him to get his camera and go back in time to revive Shizuka. There's also the happy clock that can revive people by just going back in time. So there are happy tools that can revive people. Also, him pressing that button on his camera and going back in time to give everybody a happy life at the expense of his life was a complete ass pull and cop out for yet another situation where the plot was at a dead end. I can keep going on the many issues I have with this series, such as the poor handling of stakes and consequences, but I don't want to make this video unnecessarily long. To sum it up quickly, the happy tools are the reason why the stakes and consequences suck so fucking hard in this show, and you should know why since I literally told you why I hated the ending, the plot twist, and the happy tools. Overall, Takopi's Original Sin was a cool watch, but far from a masterpiece that people are claiming it to be. If you're an overly sensitive person who pisses in their bed and sleeps with a nightlight, then you're definitely going to think this show is a masterpiece because you're only going to care about the message and not how it's given to you. But if you truly care about execution, then you should be able to understand why I thought the execution was goofy, unrealistic, and overdramatic. If I had to give this show a score, I would give it a 6 out of 10. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'll appreciate it greatly. It's your boy Trigger Senpai, and I'm out, man. Peace.